All right, here we go with a live Week 10 edition of the Coach Mcvay Show with DeMarco Farr. I am JB Long. So great to have Sean McVay with us, and you've gone through some meetings with your coaches and your players today following your first loss of 2018. Did you see the response in their demeanor, in their eyes, and their language that led you to believe that they're going to bounce back right away?
Yeah, we did. And, I think we demonstrated that yesterday immediately right after the game. We got the right guys in that locker room without a doubt. We got the right coaches. And, we look at it as a loss, as a learning opportunity for us to stay strong and move forward in the right manner. And, it was a tough game yesterday. We didn't make enough plays, to be able to get it done, and they did. Credit to the Saints, but we'll use this as a positive, motivating factor to move forward with some urgency this week.
What do they say? Winning's a good deodorant? And losing is sunshine, right? You can't hide from it.
Yeah.
All you can do is get better.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, whether you win or whether you lose, DeMarco, we try to learn from it, come in on Mondays, look at the film critically, make corrections, emphasize the things that we did well, and make sure we don't forget about that as we move forward, and then put the game away, and then we'll come in. Our players will come back on Wednesday and be ready to go and get ready for a tough Seattle team at home.
Is that devoid of emotion when you do that? When you look at yourself critically? Is it hard to take the emotion out?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course, because it's so important. And I told our players today, it's something that there's a natural urgency that's created if you can use this for the right motivating factor to move forward. It's been a long time since I've woken up with that sick pit in your stomach as a result of not getting the win. And our players did an excellent job being able to get those outcomes. But there is a level of urgency that's created that you'd like to think that you're consistent with it, but there's something just about not getting the result that we want that makes you want to work that much harder for our players, for our coaching staff, to do a great job so that we can put ourselves in a position to hopefully get the outcome that we want this week against a tough opponent.
We continue with the Coach McVay Show, Week 10 edition from Cal Lutheran in Thousand Oaks. You talk about that losing pit for the first time in your stomach this season. Since you've been here, every meaningful loss has been followed by not just an impressive win, but a winning streak. Is that a hallmark that you would like to have of your organization?
Well, I think that's a credit to our players and to our coaches and their ability to respond from small forms of adversity. And we talk about not flinching, not blinking, not allowing a team to beat us twice. It was a tough loss. Nobody's going to there's no easy way around it. It was a humbling game, but it's something that we can't afford to let linger at all. And we've got to be consistent with our approach. And, this week will be no different. But I think there is an added level of hunger and urgency that's created as a result of losing a game.
I thought Johnny Hecker got it on the fake field goal. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I couldn't tell off the video. And I wonder if they had the same look that we had.
To my understanding, DeMarco, they didn't have the look that really gave them the confident angle to be able to overturn what the original decision was. And I think that's a large result of, that's probably not where they were thinking the play would be based on it being a fake field goal, some of the cameras and different things. So, we got to live with the outcome of it didn't work out, but that's something that, a lot of confidence in Johnny Hecker, a lot of confidence in our special teams. And if we feel like the look presents itself to be able to make decisions like that, that's not something that's going to affect our, ability to be aggressive in those spots moving forward, as a result of that not working out for us.
Was that a design run or was there a passing option
there was
that was
a pass.
taken away?
Yeah, no, they did a good job. They ended up peeling on we ended up releasing Higbee, and, he kind of peeled off as Johnny went to run, and the guy in coverage actually fell. But, Johnny made the decision to try to run, reach the ball out, and felt like he made a great individual effort, but, it didn't work out for us.
The perception looking in is that you've been hands-off with respect to the defense, right? Empowering your defensive coaches like you do with every member of your staff.
Yep.
Clearly there are things that need fixing on defense, just like in all three phases of your franchise right now. But how active a role will you play on the defensive side, if at all, this week specifically?
Yeah, it's not going to be any different than what I've always done. And really, I think, one of the things that we've got here, JB, is we've got great coaches in all three phases where you can allow them to coach, but there is a level of responsibility you have as a head coach to have an understanding of what goes on. And you have full confidence in Shane and Aaron to be leaders for our offense, and Bones for our special teams, and really for Wade for our defense, and Joe Barry as the assistant head coach. But there's a level of responsibility that I think, naturally the position you have elicits, and to make sure that you have an ownership and an understanding. But to say that as a result of yesterday's game, I'm going to be any more involved than I would in any other week, that would be pressing doing something that is not necessary. There's still a whole lot of confidence in our defensive coaches and our defensive players. One game certainly doesn't define us, but I think there's also a level of respect and appreciation for that's a really good offense that we went against with some really special players. Talking about a guy that was hitting spots at quarterback yesterday with great command, and there's a reason why he's thrown for more yards than anyone else in the history of this league. So, tough challenge, but I trust that our coaches and players will respond the right way, and I expect the same for myself.
Kamara on AstroTurf, right? Or Mike Tyson on cement. Pick your poison. Both deadly.
There you go.
But, I mean, there is a part of you that says whatever the problems are, offense, special teams, defense, we are going to get this fixed.
Yeah, we've got the guys to be able to get it fixed, and each play presents a different way of solving the issues, whether that's offense, defense, or special teams. And the one thing that we consistently talk about as coaches is our job is to provide clarity for our players so that they can go play without any gray and confidence, and then also continue to do things that are conducive for putting them in the best positions to have success. That's understanding first and foremost before we do anything else from a game plan standpoint, what do our guys do best, and how can we try to recreate those scenarios and situations as much as possible, and that's something that we always look at week in and week out, and that's something that we'll continue to strive to do for these last 7 games that we know we'll have.
There was a little bit of a sentiment coming out of your post-game locker room that maybe being undefeated had become slightly cumbersome, not like a weight on your shoulders, but that maybe losing could lighten the load, could take some of the target off your team's back. Are you a believer in that at all?
No, I'm not. I don't think so. I can't speak for our players, and certainly, that's only for them to be able to answer to. But I don't think we felt it as a coaching staff, and really, as a team, I didn't get that sense because we try to keep the consistent approach 1 week at a time, and it wasn't about trying to get to 9-0. It was about trying to go 1-0 that week, and we didn't get it done yesterday. Everybody had a part in that, and that's the beauty of this game. You don't have too long, whether you win or lose, to sulk about it or to celebrate it. You got to move on, and that's the beauty of the NFL. That's what you love so much about this game. You can't wait to compete again.
All right, that's segment number 1 of the Coach McVay Show, Week 10 edition. We'll get into some of the individual efforts from the week that was in New Orleans. The Rams still lead the NFC in wins, and now they turn their attention to the Seattle Seahawks. Coming home again at the Coliseum, and we will continue with this edition of the Coach McVay Show coming up next on ESPN LA 710. All right, welcome back to Cal Lutheran with the head coach of the Los Angeles Rams, Sean McVay. I'm JB Long, and DeMarco Farr with me as well. We're careful in that first segment not to point any individual fingers, certainly following the first loss of the year, but we do want to get into what's going on with Marcus Peters now because I know it's important to our audience. And for us, it's tough to explain, kind of knowing what his track record is, why it hasn't necessarily translated here in Los Angeles yet. Can you enlighten us?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too is when you're looking at some of the game plans or some of the different things that we ask. You put elite players like him against the other elite players, and some of the matchups that some of the situations dictate. And there's an element where if you watch him just snap in and snap out, he had a lot of individual plays or a lot of individual coverage responsibilities where he is one-on-one against an elite player and a Mike Thomas that he did a very good job. And then Mike made his plays too, and everyone wants to point to the big play at the end, and that was a situation. Drew makes a great throw, Michael does a great job on his release and ends up winning. But our confidence in Marcus as a player doesn't waver. We continue to look at ourselves as coaches and make sure that are we doing things that have enabled Marcus to be a great player in this league for so long. And a couple games don't change the confidence that we do have in Marcus, the confidence he has in himself, and the confidence his teammates have in him. And like anything else, man, we love him. We'll put our arm around him. We continue to move forward with a positive mindset and mentality that's geared towards improvement and not allowing the previous circumstances to affect our ability to move forward. And everybody has a responsibility, not just Marcus. That's our entire team. That's coaches and players alike. And, and that's what we're going to do. But it's what I think says a lot about Marcus is when you listen to his post-game comments, a lot of people run away from some different things as opposed to having that ownership and being able to take the accountability. And I think that takes a secure person who's also confident in his abilities to move forward. And we feel like that's going to happen.
I can't wait to see how he plays next week. Yeah. I know he's the first guy that can't wait for next Sunday to get here.
Absolutely. And I think that's our entire team. And it isn't just Marcus. Everybody, wants to have an isolation on a couple different plays here and there, but there's plays on offense, there's plays on defense, there's plays on special teams. There's so many different plays that lead to the outcome that we had yesterday. And, nobody has more responsibility than that in terms of doing a better job than I do. And I got to do a better job for our football team. And that's why, like Marcus, I know both of us can't wait to get back to work, and our team feels that way as well.
And not just the receiver he's going against, but the quarterback as well. I mean, that 72-yard touchdown, Breeze almost won that at the snap because he caught Marcus in a situation where he was trying to orchestrate orchestrate seemingly something behind him.
Yeah, you could see they do an excellent job. They're changing personnel groupings up. They're getting different matchups. They're creating different formation concepts based on the circumstances in the situation. And then Drew's ability to be able to read and recognize coverage contours is one of the things and traits that makes him elite. And his accuracy, his anticipation, I thought he hit spots all day. And Coach Payton mixes it up extremely well, uses his personnel to their advantage, and they made a great play in a crunch time situation there.
Sam Shields, feeling ill, wasn't able to travel with you on Friday afternoon, arrived separately on Saturday. You were able to have him active, but he did not play. Just how did that kind of transpire over the course of the week, and how did it affect what you're able to do personnel-wise on defense?
Yeah, really, just because he didn't get that work because he missed a couple days, that led to Troy taking on a bigger role from a corner standpoint, and otherwise, like you've seen a good balance of both those guys playing, you could have expected him to see him play a little bit more, and then as a result of only being 3 punts in the entire game, some of the work that he's getting, with our punt return, he got on there for 2 snaps, and sometimes he's been a gunner for us with our punt team. We only punted that one time, and we had Hatfield and Josh Reynolds out for that snap. So a lot of it was a result of just the limited amount of snaps we had specific to the role that he plays for special teams as well.
All that perimeter stuff they were running with Kamara, do you think that's specific just to you, or was that their game plan, how they want to use him?
I think it's a combination of both. He's an all-purpose runner. They do a great job utilizing some perimeter-type plays to be able to maximize his skill set. But then, like anything else, when you're running the football, you're attacking specific fronts and contours that defenses present. And in a lot of instances, what you see is repeated types of concepts that are specific to our base defensive structures, or some of the ones when we're in our sub-personnel groupings. But, so I'd say it's a combination of both. If you just watch the Saints film over the years, they do a great job of mixing up, how they attack people in the run game, whether that's perimeter type plays, whether it's downhill direct type runs. And Kamara's a guy that can do it all, but they have utilized his skill set to be able to get him on the perimeter, and that's something that, they did against us yesterday as well.
Weird, goofy stuff. I mean, there's Drew Brees lined up at receiver. You got a thing in the backfield wearing number 7. What is that?
Yeah, they've done that. They've done that a lot. And really, just the variety of personnel, going back to some of the things that Coach Payton's done to be able to utilize his players in ways that maximize their skill set and put pressure on a defense. That's something that they've done in a variety of ways. They end up getting the 4th and 1 where they're trying to throw it back to Drew, and he does a great job being able to create off schedule and run it himself.
Dante Fowler plays 62% of defensive snaps in his debut. Not just specific to that game, but getting to know him over the course of the week. What is his future going to be with this defense?
Yeah, I think he's going to continue to see his role grow, and he did a nice job. I think it's a credit to Billy Johnson and Thad Bogardus to be able to get him up to speed as quickly as they did in a short week's time to play a lot of base snaps. You obviously anticipated him being a part of our sub-rush package, but he did play a lot of snaps, with just some of our base defensive structures. Made a big-time play on a gap stutter play that they tried to run where he ended up getting them into a 4-yard loss right there, and you could see he was able to create some rushes, and you just feel his speed and his juice coming off the edge, and he's going to be a player that's going to help us.
Was that the clothesline play?
Yeah. It was.
Yeah, I love the clothesline play.
It was a great play.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, you're going to run.
Vince McMahon called.
There you go.
Is he a more capable run defender than he gets credit for? Because he took on a guard on that play.
He did, yeah. It's an open side play where they pull a backside guard and try to wrap somebody else. We call it a stutter type concept, and he did a great job rolling off in that instance where he really beat the guard to the spot and ends up getting into the backfield before that guard can get that kick out block on that edge player based on the front structure we were in.
At that position, you activate Obo Okoronkwo to the 53-man roster, maybe in a reserve-type capacity. Kind of give us a high-level overview of what you know about this fifth-round draft pick and as he joins your roster.
Yeah, I think he's done a nice job, controlling what he can control. We've had that 21-day period, but it really has served as, for the couple days that we do really ramp it up. We've kind of created some extra scenarios for him to be able to truly evaluate him. He's done enough things that give us a good feeling on him that if he did have to contribute based on some different things playing out, we wanted to get him up to that active roster because otherwise you got to put him on IR and he's basically down for the rest of the year. So it's a credit to the way that he's attacked the rehab process and a credit to the way that he's responded over this 21-day period and making it a decision that we wanted to be able to get him up, and we're excited to have him.
All right, we talked a lot of defense in that segment number 2. Coming up next, we'll turn our attention to the offensive side of the football, and Cooper Kupp's return to the lineup for the Los Angeles Rams. Scored a touchdown in Week 9, plus a preview of the Seahawks and an Audible segment still to come on the Coach McVay Show, live from Cal Lutheran in Thousand Oaks on ESPN LA 710. All right, wasn't planning on starting this segment there, but that tees us up perfectly. That turnover and a tie game a minute into the second quarter tees you up 1st and 10 in that high red zone. Why don't we just kind of walk through that sequence that ultimately led to the failed fake?
Yeah, that one really bothered me from just an offensive play caller standpoint because we came out and kind of ran a play where we were in an empty set and snapped the ball, and they did a good job getting a little bit of a push from our right side, and we might have had a chance to be able to step up and work Cup over the ball, but they did a good job. And you go incompletion on first down, and then second down you go incompletion versus a 3-man rush. When they created some, a little bit of good push, we had a shallow cross coming from Gerald Everett from right to left, and their dropper kind of got in the way and, forced us to, again, go incompletion. And then we tried to get a screen off on a 3rd and 10, and we're a block away from maybe being able to have Cooks kind of pop that down the left sideline. But it got us into a short enough 4th down where we felt like it was a situation we wanted to be able to activate that fake field goal. And we came into the game knowing that we wanted to be aggressive and attack and do some of the things that have enabled us to get to 8-0 and going into that game. And that's something that's a result of, just the way that we believe in going after people and the confidence that we do have in our players. And unfortunately, in that instance, it didn't work out. But, that's the process over the results. And it's not just saying it, it's not just cliche. We're going to continue to do things that are aggressive but also smart, and we felt like that was a smart risk that we wanted to be able to take in that situation. To Robertson's credit, he ended up making a nice play, and it didn't work out for us, but that's not going to change our approach because we felt like the process was right with how we came to those decisions. We have confidence in our players. I think Bones does an excellent job being able to find some of those situations where something like that can be activated, but really, to even be in a 4th down situation just bothers me really a lot because I felt like I put us in some bad spots with 3 straight throws, then that ends up leading to us even having to attempt a field goal with 2 incompletions on 1st and 2nd down. It just makes you sick. And I got to be better for us there, especially in a 14-14 game when we get a short field to not be able to come away with points in a game like that. Ends up being one of the plays that affects the outcome, and that's what bothers me because I got to be better for us in those situations.
I wonder what would have happened had you picked that up, had the replay gone your way.
Well,
and you did pick up the first down.
Yeah, it's a great question, and you never know because each play presents a new story, if you will. That's what's so great about our game, DeMarco. But I would like to have thought that we would have scored a touchdown on the very next play, and then we kicked a field goal and go up 21-14. But it didn't work out like that, and unfortunately, that's something that we learned from. But I don't, people say, would you change the decision? No, because that didn't work out for us. But our approach going into that game and going into most games is going to be an aggressive attacking style that is also smart. And we felt like that was a situation where we followed our kind of philosophy.
I loved it. I can't stand when people go away from stuff because the result wasn't what you wanted.
Yeah,
it was right there.
Yeah, and it's always easy to question, in hindsight when it doesn't work out. But, it didn't work out for us. But it's something that we would do again, no doubt about it. And I think that's most importantly a result of the confidence we have in our players.
Couple of touchdown scores from yesterday, Cup and Cooks. I'm dying to know a play that involved both of them. Did Goff overthrow Cup, or did he underthrow Brandon in the play that resulted in the tip catch downfield?
Yeah, that was one of those. He was going to. You'd have to ask Jared, but I'm pretty sure he was going to the lower of the two. It wasn't supposed to distribute exactly like that. We had some similar concepts that we were activating, but Cooper had some traffic over the ball, and Brandon kind of had to flatten it out based on the way that their safeties and the coverage contour had played out. But we'll just say that he was dropping that over. He knew that if he ended up hitting it right there, it would get perfectly tipped to Brandon right behind him, and it worked out for us.
I want to see that in the playbook.
Yeah. You won't find it.
It's not there. We were saying this earlier in the year. Man, is this offensive line making Jared look good. Lots of protection. Now it's kind of, wow, Jared does a great job moving around in the pocket.
Yeah, I think anytime you talk about something like that, those two go hand in hand. And I think it's a credit to Jared being able to get the ball out and the timing and rhythm of the plays, and the line being able to protect for whatever the timing and rhythm of those plays are. And, it's always a collaborative effort. When you're taking care of the quarterback, when you come away with a game on the road without any sacks in the way that we had to throw it, as a result of some of the situations that played out. I think it's a credit to those guys up front, but also it's a credit to Jared and the receivers and tight ends and running backs to be able to separate in the timing and rhythm of the play as well.
Speaking of the offensive line and Jared Goff, I don't think this was any sort of deal inside your building, but for the benefit of our audience, can I just pause to read a tweet from Roger Saffold this evening? It seems a lot of people were bothered about what happened between me and Jared Goff after the personal foul penalty, and you aren't wrong. I apologize to my quarterback, and this can happen between brothers in a heated battle, but we won't let the incident define us. This won't happen again. # we, not me.
Yep.
Again, I don't think that even caught your attention in the course of the game, but what do you kind of react to the?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great response from a very important player who we love and have a lot of confidence in, and I would imagine that he's referring to when we ended up getting the one personal foul at the end of the first half. And the best part about guys like Roger being able to take that accountability is that everybody can utilize that as something our team learns from moving forward. And like you said, it won't happen again. I totally believe that, and I think in a lot of instances when you have somebody that handles it the way that he did, that takes that accountability, that ownership, then everybody can use that as a tool. It's not exclusive to Roger, but most importantly for our team, and that's what you love about our guys, and I respect and appreciate that.
Can we break down the Goff interception for just a second? Because I can't believe that it happened still, looking back on it. It looked like he had done enough to manipulate that linebacker to get that width, but I mean, sometimes you just have to tip your cap to a player like that to make that interception to Anzalone.
Yeah, Anzalone made a heck of a play, man. He's a guy that has a lot of athleticism. He's gotten a lot of action for them. They do a good job of kind of rotating a good, a handful of linebackers at that inside spot. And, because they were in nickel a lot, he got a lot of good snaps yesterday. But, really they were just in a 3-deep, 4 underneath structure. And, in a lot of instances, especially in that specific coverage, those underneath hook players, and their curl flat players, they're kind of eyes are off the quarterback where they're really all operating on a string, and Jared kind of tried to move him to the left, which he did, and then when he came back there was a little bit of a window, but man, Anzalone did a great job of kind of staying on that 10 to 12 yard hash area and being able to make a play where he catches a great ball outside the framework, fingertip type catch, and it is one of those situations where you got to say, man, that's a heck of a play right there by him.
I would bet $100 he can't do it again. And then he'd prove me wrong. But that was a hell of a play.
It was a heck of a play.
Great play. Did it catch you off guard when we found out? We found out right before the game Manti Te'o wasn't going to play. They were Mike linebacker. Catch you off guard at all, or do you kind of have an idea?
Yeah, I think that as a result of some of the personnel groupings, where we're mostly out of 11 and it dictates defenses to be in some of their nickel and dime packages as opposed to their base. He was a guy that hadn't played, he played in their base packages, but because we felt like we were going to dictate them in mostly nickel where they wanted to get another corner up, that wasn't something that shocked us. He's a good player, have a lot of respect for him, but, even Coach Payton said it wasn't anything Manti didn't do. It was more of a result of adjusting to some of the things that we do offensively, and they wanted to get an extra DB up just based on the way that we operate from a personnel grouping standpoint the majority of the time.
All right, we'll take our break here. Coming up next, Audibles, your questions from social media directly to the head coach, and a preview of the matchup with the Seahawks. That's before we're done tonight in Thousand Oaks on ESPN LA 710. All right, great to be live tonight on ESPN LA 710. Let's get to Audibles, your questions from social media directly to the head coach of the Los Angeles Rams, Sean McVay. We begin with Christian from Twitter. He notices, Coach, this is your only second road loss in 2 years with us. Is there anything different or similar from going to Minnesota last year and going to New Orleans this year?
I think that the similar situation is you're talking about two great football teams that play excellent at home, that we just didn't come away with enough plays to be able to win it. But, each game, whether you're home or away, provides a new narrative. If it doesn't work out for us, there's a lot of things that led to that. I thought our guys did a good job fighting back, but I think what you do have an appreciation for on both those games is that you went against two really good football teams. Minnesota finished up, I want to say 13-3 last year. They were excellent at home. And then this year, that the Saints are one of the top teams in this league. They've won 7 straight, and they play excellent at home. It was a great atmosphere, and they made more plays than we did, and hats off to them.
You expect nothing less if you dig a big hole to come roaring back. You're always in the game.
Yeah, we always, I think the guys just continue to compete, DeMarco, and the great thing is that it's a one play at a time mindset, and you can't get it all back in one play. And I think our players had the right mindset coming out of the half, where ended up getting a big time field goal by Greg Zuerlein to be able to cut it to 35-17. We got the ball coming out and got a touchdown, and then defense gets a couple stops, and when you're able to score on your first 3 possessions and defense is getting stops, that's how you kind of come back, and it's just really one play at a time, and the team playing together, playing good complementary football. But unfortunately, we didn't get it done at the end, and they did.
Next question in this Audible segment from Luis. I understand being polite to referees, but at what point do the bad or non-calls get old in your mind? And is there an art or a fine line as a coach to working with the officials?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that's something that I'm continuing to learn and navigate, as I, don't have a whole lot of experience in this role, but I do think it's something to be in tune with, making sure that you're communicating with them, but I also don't think you want to make enemies of them, more about just kind of creating that awareness so that if they are able to see something that maybe they missed, you don't make them want to say, I'm not really at all trying to help this guy, but I'm a little bit more in tune with it, and if it is something that they feel like it, is representative of a penalty, then they're more inclined to see it as a result of the dialogue that exists. So, I don't think we do ourselves any favors, trying to rip the refs, but I do think there's an urgency and in a way that you can communicate with them in a respectful way that helps them be maybe more aware of something that otherwise they wouldn't be. And if that leads to us getting calls that we feel like are fair within the framework of the game, then that's what we want to be able to do.
Fine line, like with push-offs or holds, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you want to go after them, but hey, if that's the way they're going to call it, let me tell my guys.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you try to just figure out is the consistency at which some of these things are officiated, especially just based on the way that the nature of some of the coverages are, where so much of what you're seeing around the league, no matter who the opponent or who the team is there's a lot of match man type coverages, which dictate a lot of contact, and just having an overall understanding and awareness on how things are going to be officiated at least helps you be aware on both sides, and that's a great point.
Mike from Twitter with our next question on Audibles here on the Coach Mcvay Show. He's curious about an Aqib Talib update. Are we correct that he's not eligible to return until after the bye from IR?
Yeah, I think that is correct. He's making good progress. When exactly that date is that we would be able to bring him back based on his recovery, and then also the availability based on when he's at the earliest able to return is something that we're continuing to monitor when that gets a little bit closer. But he's always been a guy in our mind that hopefully, we'll be able to bring off of that, use one of the designated to return things on him.
All right, credit to Bob from Twitter for creativity with this question in his wording. Life isn't about dwelling on the what-ifs or what could have beens, but what player offensive series would you do over if you had access to a DeLorean with a flux capacitor?
Yeah, I think, probably the two sequences. The one play, when after we ended up getting, like we talked about, after we ended up getting the turnover, to be able to go incomplete on first and second down, then you throw the screen and it leads to the fourth down and short where we attempted the fake field goal. That 3-play sequence I thought I was really poor in. And then, the other two that really stand out, the one where we ended up, getting into, a 1-by-3, we motion cup across the formation and released Gurley, where we got flushed. They were in kind of a two-man structure, and they actually dropped Robert Woods down the left sideline. We got flushed to our right. Jared ended up running for it. And then on second down, I called the one flip play that ends up losing 6 yards, and then we end up getting Todd on third down, and then it ends up leading to a missed field goal. Those two series kill you, and then then when you get the ball when you're down 38-35 and you feel like you got a chance to go drive, we had a lot of momentum, to not give our players better play selection, and that 3-play sequence we ended up having to punt it back to them, and then the next thing you know we were down 10. So not just one, but those ones stand out in particular. And that's like a lot of games, but those ones especially because it ended up leading to us not winning the football game and a large result of some of the decisions that I made for us.
In one of those sequences, Jeff noticed Todd Gurley was not on the field for the set of downs after the fumble recovery. Was that to give him rest or for another reason?
Yeah, it was to give him rest. Todd does such a great job for us, and want to continue to be mindful of the amount of work that he gets throughout the course of a game and really throughout the course of the year. So we kind of build in some breaks. Skip does an excellent job, and I think Malcolm Brown, when he comes in, we do have a lot of confidence. So it serves two purposes: to be able to get Malcolm the work that he deserves, but then also to get Todd the rest that we wanted to be able to give him. And Malcolm stepped up in a big way, whenever he's gotten his opportunities, demonstrated by a great touchdown catch that he made tiptoeing the sideline, earlier in the game there.
Hell of a play. Tap dance on the sidelines, yeah.
Yeah, that was in the second half, but really it was impressive, man, and you just can't say enough about the consistency at which Malcolm Brown has been able to produce and play at when he's gotten his opportunities, and hats off to him.
And great job by Jared buying time.
Yeah, it was. That was a really good off-schedule play. Stepped up, kept the ball tight to his body, and able to find Malcolm off schedule was a big-time play.
We had a few questions to this effect. I'll lump them all under the umbrella that Mark from Twitter brings. Defensive adjustments, they've been great at the half, but what is it about football in the NFL especially that sometimes those adjustments don't happen until the half? Is there a way to kind of start them earlier, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, I think our defense came out with an added level of urgency in the second half that enabled them to play, as well as they did. And then sometimes it's about just settling into a game. They did a good job of mixing up some different things that we had seen, and when they go back to it, if they've seen it already, they've got a better chance to be able to defend it. But I just thought it was a great job by the players, the overall urgency, the sense of urgency that they played with, the communication. I think all those things were executed at a higher level in the second half, and it led to us getting some stops. But sometimes it's easier said than done, but you'd like to be able to put that together for 4 quarters. But in a lot of instances, I think, adjusting and adapting is something that naturally does occur, and their ability to do it sooner than later is something that we try to emphasize all the time.
All right, last one on audibles. On a lighter note, Tito from Facebook, best pregame snack. Do you have any go-tos on game day?
Best pregame snack? Not really. I whatever the meal is, I'll eat, and then depending upon if I got enough there, I'll sometimes have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that is usually in the locker room to serve as some fuel for the players. And if I feel like I need a little extra juice, Red Bull never hurts.
I would have never pegged you as a guy who needs any kind of Red Bull. I think you manufacture your own. Final segment upcoming. We turn our attention to the Seahawks. Back to business, back to the Coliseum, and back with more after this on the Coach McVay Show, Week 10 on ESPN LA 710. All right, final segment of the Coach McVay Show, Week 10 edition. The Los Angeles Rams play the second game of the season against the Seattle Seahawks. What a thriller it was in the Pacific Northwest. Now the comeback game at the Coliseum. Here we go again. This is the only home game in another, month-long stretch.
Yeah, it's nice to say hi to the Coliseum fans, right?
There you go. It's been good to us so far.
Yeah, undefeated at home. I like that. The Seahawks are in an interesting stretch because they played some really good football. Their game against the Chargers yesterday came down to the wire. And they come to Los Angeles probably feeling like their playoff lives are at stake. Coach, give us a preview of Week 10, if you will.
Yeah, Coach Carroll is going to have his guys ready to go. They've played great football this year. We had a great battle with them at their place. Came down to the wire, like you mentioned, good back and forth, and expecting a lot of the same. They've always been a great team in this division for a long time. That consistency has been extremely impressive. Anytime you got Russell Wilson at the helm, you're always in a game, and he's a great elite competitor. They're doing a really good job on defense with a lot of really good playmakers, and it's going to be a great challenge. And like we said, as we're diving into the early stages of the preparation, can't wait to get going and try to get a plan together that hopefully puts our players in spots to shine on Sunday.
In November, records don't dictate hunger. I bet you're just as hungry as they are.
Yeah, I would think so. And I think, being back at home, that urgency that's naturally created, you want to be the same every single week, DeMarco, whatever the result was previously. But there's something about just the urgency that's created as a result of not getting the outcome that you want that kind of burns in you, and you hopefully want to do a great job this week. And, like we said, we just can't wait to compete again.
We saw it firsthand a couple of weeks ago. Up front, their offensive line, their running game has to be one of the most improved in the National Football League. They're suddenly very, very productive in that regard.
Yeah, I think they've done a great job. It's a real credit to their coaching staff. I think Coach Schottenheimer's done a nice job of being able to, to stay balanced, but then also call a game that accentuates his players' skill sets, and that's being patient with the run, being committed to it as part of their identity, and you could see it's something that they've done a great job and had a lot of positive results, as a result of him being patient with it, and the players are executing at a high level.
I can't wait. I love it when they say a team's got a good defense. Let me see how you do away from home without the benefit of crowd noise.
Yeah, no, it's a big deal. Not having to operate, hopefully without, with some of the things that we've had to deal with, from the Saints game is something that we like. But I thought our players did a really nice job being able to handle a tough atmosphere. Didn't make enough plays, as a team, but I thought overall their ability to handle that crowd noise was big time yesterday.
I don't know if on your list of goals going undefeated was even to be found, but now that that's kind of off the table, does this game almost kind of fit nicely where it refocuses you on the task at hand, winning the West first and going from there?
Yeah, I think, being able to play a great division opponent, coming off a game like that, I think is something that is great for our football team. And, it's going to be a great challenge for us. You never go into a season, at least I haven't, thinking about going undefeated. What you try to do is just do the best you can that given week and try to go 1-0 every single week. Fortunately for us, our first loss through the first 9 weeks came yesterday, but I trust and have full confidence that we'll respond the right way, and that starts with a great week of preparation.
How's that feeling in the pit of the stomach now?
It's still there, man.
Still there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For you too?
Of course. There's only one way to get it out, right?
No question. Go back to work harder.
Well, Sean, thank you for your time here on this Monday evening. Have a great week of preparation. We'll see you at the Coliseum. DeMarco, I will see you Thursday for Rams All Access,
yes, sir.
Our next show. Thank you for being with us tonight in Thousand Oaks at Cal Lutheran. The Rams no longer in control of the one seed in the NFC, but still atop in terms